What is up, guys? I do hope you're well. My name is Mark, and today we're covering some more r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description below and along the timeline. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too, as it all really does help out our channel, and it is truly appreciated. And once again, thank you for everyone for being here, for taking the time out your day to sit there and listen to me. Is absolutely mind-blowing, so thank you. And with that being said, let's get in to today's stories. Much love, guys. Our first story comes from Homeless Brother Throwaway. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to house my homeless brother because of the way he treated me all throughout my life? So, I'm 24, my little brother is 18. For some backstory, he's my adopted cousin because my aunt thought it would be a good idea to use substances while pregnant. This caused my brother to have motor impairment and a lifelong learning disability, to where his academic intelligence is that of someone half his age. Even since he was born, he's essentially been the golden child. Throughout my childhood, he would do anything and everything to get on my nerves and incite a reaction out of me, from messing with my property to trying to frame me for stuff I didn't do. Because I have autism, I have barely any tolerance for this. Whenever I reacted to him, instead of telling my parents, I would be the one punished because I'm the older one and need to act like it. He's just a child, and would have stuff taken away so I could learn. Obviously, this caused some deep-seated resentment for both my parents, for allowing him to ruin my childhood by tormenting me all my life, and for my brother, who doesn't know how to be an actual decent human being. I did literally nothing to him, and he had to show his worst side to me for no reason. I made a promise to myself that I would cease all contact with my parents and brother once I moved out and never talk to them again. I made good on that 4 years ago. I've only known peace since then. Until about a few weeks ago. Due to the pandemic and my brother's poor job performance, he was laid off, and after constant conflict with my parents, he was kicked out of the house. I then received an email from my mum that for the first time in 4 years I actually responded to. She said that even though she loves my brother very much, she had no choice but to kick him out for his antics as she felt threatened, and that in the meantime, before she's ready to allow him back in, that I was to house my brother. I tell her no. I let out all of my resentment in my reply. I told her everything about why I wouldn't be housing my brother and that I had zero obligation to. For all they've done, he deserves to be homeless and I deserve to live my life in peace. She flipped her shit on Facebook about how disappointed she is in me that I wouldn't stick up for my own sibling when they were at their lowest point. I responded to the post saying that because of her, I was at my lowest point for 12 straight years, that she can go stick a piece of lit dynamite up her rotten cunt, and showed her the email I sent her. These last few weeks I've been receiving a little support from some and a lot of hate mail from others. Something about how, no matter what, we're still family and I need to act by that. Fuck no, I've built a new, non-blood family that has shown me more support and care than anyone I'm related to by blood. I'm never going back to my old family, nor will I be there for them, because they were never there for me. I don't fucking care at all. You know, there's something we've learnt a lot on this channel through the loads of posts we've read, is that family is not always blood. You know, family can screw you over a lot. We've seen it so many times on this channel. So yes, I wouldn't consider them family if they are treating you that way. And if you do truly feel that much resentment, I think you're right to go no contact and live your life in peace. You know, you're not obligated to take anyone in if you don't want to. That is your choice. So I'm going to say not the arsehole in this situation because, you know, he sounds like he's got a lot of resentment built up for his past. So, and we're going to go to the comments below to see what we can find. Simon Spooner says, not the arsehole, he is their child, she can't dump her responsibility onto you. Sinor Chalupa says, not the arsehole, and quotes, and after constant conflict with my parents he was kicked out of the house. Then says, why should you have to enjoy your sibling if your parents can't? If his own biological parents can't, and if he couldn't abide by household rules when homeless, unless those rules were torturous. Then quotes something about how, no matter what, we're still family and I need to act by that. Then says, I'm really sorry OP, there are a couple of failures on the part of your parents here. Number one, if what you say is true, they indulge sibling abuse, teaching you that if your brother violated your boundaries, they will punish you if you protested. Not only this is a disservice to you, but it sounds like they seriously did wrong by your adopted brother, when he was bound to have a hard road ahead of him. 2, they can't take his shitty behaviour and expect you to. Did you ask how dare she ask you to house him when she refused? That if she felt threatened, you would too. For your safety, I hope none of these people know your physical address. Sorry OP. And OP replies to this one saying, yeah, I brought that point up, but didn't receive a response as I blocked her email and didn't want to hear anything of her bitching. Don't worry, they couldn't have come if they wanted to. They're in the US, I'm in Canada, hired by a good company, thanks to my choice to study computer engineering, and not to go for a for-profit school. Don't ever go to for-profits, they're a waste of time and money. Now I'm going to turn this story to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 1. Our next story is from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for reverting client's website back to an inoperable state after being asked to fix it and not getting paid for it? Some backstory. Client and I have had some business deals together in the last 9 to 10 years, where I've made a couple of websites for him. Last year in November, he reached out to me to update a few pages for him and update his logo in the process. During this time, he also brought up that he wants to refresh his website to something new. My intention was not to charge him and lump it together with the new website fees. I did not communicate my intentions to him in writing. He never followed through with a new website. Fast forward to last month and he asked for assistance fixing his website. Turns out something was down on the hosting side and it took me a few hours to figure it out. After sorting it out, I invoiced him my time and tacked on the previous update work that I did for him last year. The client became very upset that I did not communicate to him that I would charge him. He then brought up that he wants to pursue the refresh website again. To date, he has still not paid the invoice and has been flaky about meeting to discuss the website. I've asked him to pay the invoice for my time again with no response. This morning, I reverted his website back to a vegetative state due to late/no payment. Am I the arsehole for doing this? Update. Everyone, thank you for your input. For more information, I don't know if the client knows that the website is down. After much consideration, I've brought back the website online. I'm hoping the client is unaware of the hiccup. My current thought process is to use this as a learning lesson to be more clear in the future and decide to either do a favour or be transparent and charge them. I will be retracting the invoice from the client and chalking this one up as a loss. So as you can see, he's probably got a lot of "you're the arsehole" comments below, but I wanted to post this one because this one's a bit different from my usual, "you're the arseholes." It's not very like a family related situation, it's more of a business one, and you rarely see these on "Am I the arsehole?" So I thought it was a good one to put on there. And I'm probably going to have to agree with like comments below to say that you are the arsehole, because if you're going to charge someone and not tell them about it in advance, you know, it's just not on. If a business did that to me, I'd be pretty pissed off as well. So I'm going to say you are the arsehole. You should have invoiced beforehand, you know, and done it that way around. But let's take a look at the comments below to see what we can find. A small man says, "You're the arsehole. You did the work and then chose not to bill him for it. Sure, it fell through, but you should have invoiced him for what you did do, i.e. logos." Then quotes a section and replies to it saying, "You didn't invoice for any of that, then later tacked on a charge that you never invoiced him for to begin with on separate work and then expected him to pay. What you are experiencing is people getting mad about hidden fees. Not cool." And OP did reply to this saying, "Okay, I can see your point of view and I agree with it. Let's say I took off the work that I did last year from the current invoice, would that still make me the arsehole?" And people saying, yeah, you'd be fine with that kind of thing. And Starfleet Auxiliary says, "You're the arsehole. Number 1, never do work without a contract, ever, ever. 2, contracts should specify that your work is your IP until you get paid. Upon payment, they own the work done. Had you done this in either circumstance, you wouldn't be up the shit creek you're in now. Had you done this in either circumstance, you wouldn't be up the shit creek you are in now. 3, you waited nearly a full year to bill him and only did so after he requested more work. Then without even talking about it, you just tacked on the old charges to the new bill. 4, you failed to provide a quote for the work you were going to do. At this point, I'd fix his website, dump the invoice and walk away from this client. You've destroyed any future potential relationship and might have a lawsuit on your hands for disabling his website. Imagine if you took your car to a mechanic and asked for an oil change, and you also wanted to get a new set of brakes and rotors and spark plugs in the near future. They do the oil change, thinking they'll waive that since you'll be back for some extra work they'll get paid on. You bring your car in a year later, ask them to troubleshoot a problem with your electrical. They do it and charge you for the repair and last year's oil change. You bulk up paying for the oil change from a year ago and refuse to pay anything. They put your car on cinder blocks. That mechanic would be an arsehole and likely have broken several laws in the process. Be thankful the IT industry isn't that regulated yet. But if more arseholes like you do shit like this, it will be. Very good points all around there, I think. Now, what do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 2. And our next story is from JDP Ghost. Am I the arsehole for not wanting to talk to my sister unless she pays me? Why I despise my sister. As first generation immigrants, my family, my father, my mother, my older sister and myself spent our first 2 decades in Australia, dancing to and fro across the poverty line. Late in her high school career, my sister decided she wanted to be a physician, but she didn't have the work ethic to get necessary grades, so the only offer of enrolment she received was from a private university. For context, in Australia, students are entitled to a loan that will typically cover the entirety of their course fees. One exception are courses offered by private universities, as private universities charge a lot more than their public counterparts. In order for my sister to attend this private university, my sister would have to come up with 300,000 Australian dollars over the course of her degree. I'm sure you can imagine how difficult this task would be for a couple earning minimum wage. But my parents loved my sister, so they did whatever it took to enrol my sister into this medical school, even if it meant taking on crippling debt. To make ends meet, both my parents started working 60 to 80 hour weeks. The hours took their toll on my parents, both physically and mentally. Put it this way, one day my father lost a finger in a workplace accident, and he was overjoyed. Overjoyed because he would receive compensation for it. He was ecstatic that he could trade his finger for a fucking measly $25,000. I had always thought that once my sister graduated, she would pay my parents back. She did not. Not one single fucking cent. Instead, she went gallivanting around the world, buying expensive designer items, and eventually moved interstate. She barely even bothered to stay in touch. Why I believe my sister owes me at least $200,000. I graduated from university for 4 years after my sister. For 3 years after graduating, every cent I made went to paying off my parents' debt, so they could go back to work in normal hours. Over the years, I've probably given them $200,000. It's been 6 years since I've graduated university now, and my family is in a much better place. My parents are debt free and can work standard 35-hour per week jobs. We're financially comfortable for the first time in our lives, and everything is fantastic. Enter my goddamn sister. A few months back, she broke up with her boyfriend. I'm not aware of the details, but she moved back to our state and back home with our parents. My parents are beyond happy to have their daughter back, and they've asked me multiple times to talk with my sister again. But as far as I'm concerned, my sister owes me $200,000 before I will even consider being in the same room as her again. Am I the asshole? Now I'm going to start off by saying not the asshole straight away. I mean, you looked after your parents when they were in need and they were in huge debt. You know, you got them working back to normal working hours, so God bless you for that. But what I'm finding really sad in this story is that all this happened and she went away and then she came back and she was just like welcomed back like, oh, she's returned, the best child ever. And you're just encouraged to talk to her immediately, even though all that's happened in the past and your parents are sort of forgetting it, and you've paid all this money back into the family and your sister's done nothing. It's kind of a sad situation, that one. But in my opinion, not the arsehole, and we'll go to the comments below to see what we can find. Thai Noodle Basil says, not the arsehole, your sister is a leech. Talk to her very clearly about why you feel she owes you money. State your case and then go forward from there on. The Vicious Viscount says, not the arsehole, Australia isn't like the US. She could have worked hard, gone to regular uni like NSWU or RMIT or Monash, gotten a HEX debt and paid it back herself as a doctor. It's not like she would be struggling to pay something with how much she would be earning. If you help your parents pay a debt, she definitely owes you and should be told as much. Now, I'm sorry if I totally messed up those acronyms in there. I might have totally butchered them completely. Halen24 says, not the arsehole, listen, I understand at first, you paid for your sister's debt, right? You didn't have any debts of your own, just paid what your parents owed, right? Definitely not the arsehole, you took care of your parents when your sister just walked away. Dane Crane says, let her back in the family, then every single time you see her, insist on you start setting up a payment plan for her to pay back to your parents. Don't let her get away from it, confront her every single time you see her and keep hounding her about it. Refuse to let go of the subject. Instead of running away, seek her out. You have nothing to run from or be ashamed of. She does. Turn the tables around for fuck's sake. Now, I turn this story to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 3. And our next story is from Clona Thinks. Am I the arse for inviting my sister's ex to my wedding? Yo Reddit, first big post here, so be gentle. So the situation goes, I, 29 male, am marrying the love of my life, 27 female, next May. It is pretty much a big deal in the family, as this is the first wedding in my generation. I also have a sister, 27 female, who I'm not really close to due to us being really different people. The reason for it being us reacting very differently to the same childhood traumas, but the relationship is not horrible either. My sister had a boyfriend, 27 male, for 9 years. They got together around 16 or something. I wasn't really around that time, and they had it great for most of the time. The guy and I got pretty close, as he was with us on all family occasions. We shared similar hobbies, and he helped a lot in our family issues by simply being there as an independent onlooker, all together for long years a part of the family. They eventually broke up almost 2 years ago, which was understandable due to how much people change in such a young age. Different views on having kids, etc. It wasn't even a problematic breakup. I talked to my sister about keeping in touch with him, and she was fairly understanding about it. No fuss. Time passes, and turns out my sister left him for a guy 19 years older than her. Not a big problem, she always had an old person's soul, which was not especially cool, but whatever. I kept in touch with her ex, even had better times with him without them being together. He handled it great. He moved to the same city where I lived, became an integral part of my group of friends. Friends with my fiance, all fun and games. And now the effective problem. I'm organising my wedding, and somehow during a conversation with my family, I slipped I have invited him to the wedding. That's when all hell broke loose. My sister simply stated that if he comes, she will not. My mother said that I'm a traitor to the family because I choose another person instead of my sister, who I only talk to a couple of times a year. She also threatened me to back out of the wedding financially and emotionally. Not much of a problem. Bloody nuisance though. I've told them that my responsibility goes as far as handing them their invites. What they do with it is entirely up to them. But this is our day, and I'm not willing to let anyone guilt trip or blackmail me into choices I don't want to make. This has a long story running in the family regarding the event. Additional info might be that my fiance is completely with me, as she also loathes the control freak shit in the family and is friends with the guy as well, and my sister's new boyfriend, the old one, also has a problem with the whole thing. Not that it matters, but as a point of reference and culturally we're Central Europeans, so the wedding is not that much of a big deal like a 200 to 300 guest US wedding. But for the family and friends, means a lot. I tried to make it comprehensible, not a native speaker though. So Reddit, was I right to stand up, or should I act along the family's concept? You know, I think you was totally right to do what you did. You handed them the invites and say, you do what you want with them. If you don't want to turn up, that's on you. But I think you might benefit your sister not turning up anyway, because she's just going to cause a scene. She sounds like a right drama queen to me. And this other dude sounds more of a family to you than your own sister. So, you know, I can't blame you for wanting him to still come. And I think you did totally the right thing by giving them that choice. I hope your friend does come though, and isn't like dissuaded by your sister coming along, like the other way round kind of thing. But we'll go to the comments below to see what we can find. Kira says, not the arsehole, it's your wedding. You're not inviting the dude to piss your sister off. However, if she causes a scene, you can't say you were caught by surprise. Still not the arsehole, but keep that in mind. Forgotten Troll quotes about the responsibility and handing them their invites and then says, this is the most reasonable thing I've read on Am I the Arsehole all morning. It is also absolutely correct. From where I sit, you and your bride absolutely should invite your closest friends and family members to the wedding, whomever they might be. These are the people you love and cherish, and if some of those people don't love and cherish each other, they need to make some decisions. For all parties, I think it's valid if a person says to you, I'm not comfortable being at your wedding if X is there. There's too much bad blood between us and I don't think it's a good idea for us to be in the same room. That person takes responsibility for their decision, lets you know what they're doing and why. I don't think that it's valid for the person to say, you make the guest list the way I want, or I'm not coming and I'm going to tell grandma and she will give me the family castle, not you. That kind of thing is manipulative as hell and forcing you to choose between certain friends, especially when the bad blood is a decade old, is unfair to you. My only nit with what you've done is I think you should have told both your sister and her ex up front that both of them are invited to the wedding and that you understand if one of them chooses not to come. However, you're in the right in every other aspect. Not the arsehole, and have a good wedding and awesome marriage. Reading Redhead says, not the arsehole, it's not like he was abusive or did something bad. They had an amicable adult breakup. You guys are friends, invite him. Also, kudos to your English, you're very good for a non-native speaker. Now, I'm going to turn this story to you guys. What do you guys think of this story? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to vote on that poll in the description for story 4. Once again guys, thank you for being here today, and I have loved hearing what you guys are doing whilst I'm reading and you're listening to me. I love hearing, and it sounds like some of you got some serious skills, so keep up, keep letting me know what you're doing on the daily, because I really love hearing it. And thank you for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Take care guys, much love.